Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I am making our face mask. It's the updated version. I know I shared a video, a how-to video on my IGTV, and I made two versions of it. So we are going to call this version 3.0. I have the original face mask that I made back then, which I still use, but I wanted to make some more because it seems like, it's going to take a while for things to get back to normal, and I don't know how it is where you're at, but here in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, you're required to wear a face mask going to a public establishment, an enclosed establishment, or you can get denied entry. So these are the original masks that I did in my first video. I made two versions, 3 with hair ties and 1 with a tie that I made. I did this because I ran out of hair ties. So that is the one issue with this, like we lose hair ties all the time. Women know that. And the issue with a hair tie as well, it can be uncomfortable to the ear. It can either slide off depending on your ear shape, and it makes my ears red all the time. And if you're using an old hair tie, when I tried to make a face mask out of it, it broke. When I was stretching it, it just broke. So that's another issue with this. But it was super convenient. You can wear this quickly than tying two. That was the one thing that I liked from this mask version 1. But with version 2, the issue was having to tie 2, right? Because you have the top and then you have the bottom. But the great thing about this, it was more comfortable. Number 2, it's adjustable. So if you have a wider face shape, this will work. If you have small ears where, like the hair tie doesn't stay in place, this is also the great option. But I found myself tying, if I'm in a rush, I'm just tying the top part. I'm lazy, but the thing here is that you have straps falling in front of your face and it's not secure in the bottom part. So I wanted to make a version 3.0 that solves the issues for that, and because I'm making masks for other people too, I wanted to make sure that it was adjustable to any face shape, size, and that it would be comfortable for them to wear. So this is version 3.0. It still has the tie, but there's only one, and it's adjustable. So, if you have a wider face, you can make it big, the loop in here. If you have a smaller face shape, smaller ears, you can adjust it, you can tighten it. See that? And yay! I was just like trying to brainstorm what would be the best way to do this. And the thing is, I'm just using like a lanyard, from the ID tags. And it's very soft to the ears. You're not stretching anything behind your ear, so it's not gonna make your ears red or give you marks. I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna loosen it up just to show you how easy it is to wear. Put it over your face, behind your ear, and then pull the string. See that? I'm gonna do it again here. Super easy, and I haven't even tied the straps yet. It's not falling. So I'm gonna show you how I do it, but I love that it solves the comfort issue, not having enough hair ties around the house. Number 3, being adjustable. 4, only having to tie once. With this, you can use, if you have those lanyard from ID tags, you can use shoelace or like some cords, or just like wrapping ribbon, gift ribbons, any ties from dresses, cardigans, or shirts that we never actually use. So I don't have to buy anything in the fabric. You can use old bed sheets, old curtains, pillows, even old clothes. So now I'm going to show you how to do this new version. First thing you want to do is print the patterns on my blog. I'm going to link it here. It's also linked in the IGTV. Don't worry, your pattern, I updated it so you don't have to use a lot of ink. So the only ink that's going to be on there is like the outlines. So print that. Next, grab your fabric. So just to show you, I have a square piece of fabric, which I folded in half so that the right side, the front side of the fabric is facing each other before I grab my template or my pattern. So immediately you're gonna get 2 pieces per pattern, 1 and 2, because that's what we need for here, and I just position it so I can maximize my fabric. And then I'm going to use a clip. You can use a pin, whatever you have, just to clip the pattern to the fabric so that it stays in place when I cut it. Or you can simply outline it with a pencil before cutting if that's more comfortable to you. Again, just showing you that the right sides of the fabric should be facing each other. Now, following the pattern, you can start cutting your fabric. Once you're done cutting, it should look like this, and again, just leave it so that the right sides of the fabric are facing each other. So with your number 1, you want to sew this part. So this is going to be your like nose part here. With number 2, you want to sew that part too, but for this one, aside from sewing that part, you want to fold this, the sides, and then one more time, and then sew that part too. Of course, the same thing here. You want to fold that edge. So this is the edge. These sides are going to be where your ears are. So I'm going to sew that again. I'm going to be left with these. So this is my number 1. See, it's wider. This is my number 2, which is the back. And I've already sewn that. Sewn it here, and both ends are sewn as well. So now you're going to want to spread that out and spread this out as well. But you're going to line them up with the right side of the fabric facing each other. Take the center, line up the center. Since you already have a guide there where you sew, it's easier. Once they're lined up, that. You're gonna want to sew the top all the way there, starting, you know, here with like the shorter end, the shorter side, your back. You're gonna want to sew that outline, and then same thing here. Just make sure that they're lined up and flat, and sew that. So once you've sewn that, it's gonna look like this. Now we're gonna flip it out, inside out. So we see the right side of the fabric now. And what we're gonna do here, so if you watched my previous tutorial, this is when we actually sew the hair tie in. Let's fold this first. One fold, and then you're gonna want your hair tie in there, and then you're gonna fold a second time. So that's how it's gonna look like. So that was our version 1. It's where you're gonna hem it. You can insert your filter there, and make sure that you don't sew the hair tie, so that it is free to move in there. But we're not gonna use an elastic for this. Instead, we're gonna take our updated tie. So here I'm using a ribbon, and as you can see, it is adjustable. And it's gonna be the same process, but it's actually easier because you can like adjust this, and it's up to you if you want like this loop in here on the bottom, or if you want that on the top. It's a personal preference. And then you're gonna do the same thing. You wanna fold that, and then you're gonna wanna fold a second time, and then that's where you're gonna sew. And again, be careful not to sew this part so that it moves freely. When you've sewn that, it's gonna look like this. So how do we do this tie? If you can see, it's actually just one tie. I'd recommend between 18 inches in length of a strip up to around like 20 or 22. So say you have cut your strip of ribbon. So this is our example. You're gonna want to like create kind of like a loop in there. You're gonna want to, you can go over, you can go under. The point of this is that you are trying to wrap it. See, it's easy, just that. And then that's the only part that you're gonna sew. It's easier actually to do this by hand, especially if the ribbon is very thin. You just sew this by hand. And if it's like a ribbon like this, you don't even have to like fold so that it's not, you know, like usually if this is a fabric kind of tie, I would fold it like that before I sew, just so there's no edge of the fabric. But with a ribbon, you can take a lighter and then just there. So no fraying, just sew that part, and this is the one that you attach to this side. Be careful not to sew the tie with your fabric, and here be careful not to sew this. So make sure that you're leaving just enough room so that you can sew properly, and this is free to move. And that's it. And if you don't have a ribbon, let's say you want to use this, you can do this too, like a shoelace or a cord if you have these lying around, and then sew that same procedure. And then we're gonna create a loop in here, and I have an example here that I've already done. So you can see it's just a knot, but this is still adjustable. If you have a cord, a shoelace to use, this is perfect. I'm going to show you how I loop it. So this is your tie. Kind of similar to the ribbon, right? But with a ribbon, we just sew this from here. But when you have like a cord like this, I'm going to make it longer so it's easier. You're going to tie a knot. So you're basically tying this end to this one that you're holding. So this is the only one that you are tightening, and you're leaving this part to move freely. Actually, you can do this one knot, but we're gonna try to do 2 knots. Sometimes I need a help from tweezers to make sure that it's, you know, tight, and I could really pull that in, and that's it. And this one, like I said, is not part of the knot. So you can still freely move it around and adjust it. Again, you can use a lighter to make sure that it doesn't fray. And that's it. Here's the example. So cute.